Hello everyone, this is Rose. Today's topic from the Book of Life is Sibling Rivalry. The heartbreak of sibling rivalry after the cohesive glue has transitioned into the heavenlies. Let's take a look of this short story from the Book of Life. Grace Smith and Henry Brown meet in their early 20s. In the courtship of their dating, they discuss the pros and cons of being the only child. Each of them were the only child in their family. Although their parents have siblings, neither has been introduced to their distant relatives in order to form a family bond. 2 years after meeting, Grace and Henry joined together in holy matrimony. The couple vowed to raise their kids to value family. Grace and Henry started growing their family immediately after getting married. They gave birth to 8 kids, 5 boys and 3 girls. Among the 5 oldest kids, their ages were spaced between 12 to 18 months apart. There is a 3-year gap between the 5th and 6th child, and a 24-month gap between each of the last 3 kids. The family was very close. In the wintertime during snowstorms, the kids would play board games inside their home or listen to music on their record player. Grace and Henry raised their kids to communicate with each other and to always have each other's back. It wasn't unusual for the kids to play together outside during the summer. At least 2 of the siblings would socialize within the same circle of friends. If one sibling had a friend come over to the house, they all joined in the fun or conversation. They were known as a close-knit family in the neighborhood. When Henry's health begins to decline, Grace had to work outside the home in order to support the family. Grace depended on her kids to help out more around the house. The girls would do the grocery shopping and washing of the clothes. The boys were responsible for going with the girls shopping and washing so that they could carry the bags of clothes. The youngest child often pulled his wagon to help the boys take turns resting their arms during the long distance walk to and from the market or laundromat. The boys also took turns taking out the trash as the girls cleaned and cooked. As the Brown family grew older, the boys began to spend less time together. Working after-school jobs and joining sports teams at school put a separation among them. At the time of Henry's demise, 4 kids were in high school. 1 was in junior high school, and the remaining 3 were in elementary school. The Brown kids further drifted apart as the oldest 4 graduated from high school and began to date. Discovering their individuality, the oldest 4 moves out of the home after graduating. The 5th child, Rose, was left with the responsibility of helping with the household as her mother works. At the end of 12th grade, Rose buys a used car with the money she saved from working odd jobs after school. Once she graduated from high school, she becomes full-time caretaker for her youngest 3 siblings. She took care of them like they were her own kids. She cooked, cleaned, helped the kids with their homework. She would take them to school in the morning and pick them up from school or from after-school programs in the evening. At times, she would take the youngest three to the movies on the weekend. The youngest child, Curtis, missed his older brother, Junior, a lot. He would often go to Junior's apartment after school without letting Rose know his whereabouts. Curtis looked up to his brother. After their dad's death, Curtis clung to Junior as a child would to their parent. He was the only one of the three youngest to give Rose problems. He did not like being treated like the baby of the family. He wanted to be looked up to like his oldest brother, Junior. Although he was only 11 years of age, he wanted Rose to treat him like a man. Rose tried to handle Curtis' rebellion attitude without complaining to her mother. Each time she would punish Curtis' bad behavior, he would run to Junior for refuge. Junior would always take Curtis' side, even though he knew Curtis was in the wrong. Rose begins to compromise with Curtis in order to bring peace into the home. She did not want her mother to come home and have to deal with family issues after working a 10-hour shift each day. Rose ran into an ex-classmate when she was running errands for her mug. Glenn and Rose greeted each other with a hug and began to talk about life after high school. They exchanged phone numbers. One evening, Glenn calls Rose when he asks what have she been doing with herself since graduation. She was embarrassed to tell him that she had placed her plans on hold to care for her youngest three siblings while their mother worked. Glenn picked up on the hesitation in Rose's reply and decided to withdraw his question by changing the subject. Glenn always had a crush on Rose. He did not want to do or say anything that would run her away from him. Glenn would occasionally call Rose to say hi as he checked on her. Their conversation would always end positive. After Curtis, the youngest child, graduated from high school, Rose shifted her attention from the kids to herself. She finds a job working at the local cleaners. She goes to night school to become a registered nurse. Rose moves out her mom's house 1 year after working and attending night school. She finds a small one-bedroom apartment near her school. Her and Glenn continues to communicate and occasionally goes on dates. After Rose completes her internship, she gets a job at the community hospital. As a registered nurse, on many days, Rose worked a double shift. Curtis went to an automotive trade school after graduating high school, and he is now working as a mechanic. One evening, Rose received a call from one of her siblings stating that their mother was ill and was in the hospital due to have surgery soon. Rose immediately goes to the hospital to see their mom. Curtis was there when she arrives and proceeded to tell Rose she did not have to come because he has it under control. "Curtis," shouts Rose, "this is not about you having it under control. I am here to see my mother and check on her health condition." Curtis frowns at Rose before walking out the room. Rose took the day of her mother's surgery off work. She also came to the hospital daily to check on her mother. When Grace was released from the hospital, Rose arranged for a nurse to come to the home daily to care for her mother. 1 week after Rose's mother was released from the hospital, she passed away due to heart failure. Curtis calls his siblings to come to the house. He informed them that their mother has died. When everyone arrives to the home, they ask, "Where's Rose?" Curtis states, "Oh, I think I forgot to call her. I'm not sure." Rose's older sister gives her a call. When Rose arrived at the home, the paramedic was leaving after dispatching the coroner. Rose asked the family what happened. They all stated the same. "Curtis called us saying Mom was dead." Curtis refused to answer Rose's question, so Rose decided to contact a nurse to get the details of care given to her mother in her last hours. Rose was informed her brother Curtis had fired the nurse and that her mother was alone at home when she went into cardiac arrest. Rose was very upset, but held her anger in order to take care of her mom's body. She was also informed by the family that Curtis had arranged for a hole-in-the-wall funeral home to pick up their mother's body and that they were on their way. Rose could not understand how this was possible. Their mother had just passed. Rose asked her family, "Don't you all find this strange?" The family did not want to dispute anything at this time, so Rose went along with the family. Curtis told the family that he was beneficiary over the mom's life insurance and that she only has a $5,000 policy, but he would take care of everything. He only needed them to take care of her clothing and her hair for burial, as well as someone putting together the obituary. The next day, Rose received a call from the mortuary. The mortician informed her that she was on speaker and that her brother Curtis was in the office and that they all were on a conference call with the insurance company. The mortician tells Rose the insurance company needs her permission for her brother Curtis and him to talk with the insurance company. When Rose asked why, the insurance lady introduced herself, then stated that Rose was the beneficiary of their mom's insurance policy. Rose was frozen with disbelief. She did not want to turn her mother's burial into a battlefield, so she gave permission. The mortician thanked Rose and thought he had hung up the phone with her. Rose listened as her brother Curtis spoke in an arrogant tone to the insurance lady, telling her, "I told you I had permission to handle my mother's burial arrangements." Then he begins to argue with the lady about not paying him all of the money on the policy he took out on his mom. The insurance lady explains that policy was too new and did not reach its maturity date, but he could collect the $5,000 rider insurance once the coroner's report is submitted showing that his mom died of a heart attack. Curtis began to argue with the insurance lady again. "I told you my mom died of a heart attack. Why are you tripping, lady? Why are you not trusting what I'm saying? You just don't want to give me my money." The insurance lady assured him, "I'm not here to withhold anything from you. We have a policy to follow. The policy you're speaking of was taken out less than 5 months ago. The only policy that you're able to collect on is the rider's insurance policy that states that if the person dies of a heart attack, you can collect $5,000. Rose wanted to interject in the conversation by asking questions, but she couldn't bring herself to argue with her brother at this time of grief she was feeling. Grace's funeral was scheduled almost 2 weeks after the phone call with the insurance lady. Rose had to go to the mortuary to sign documents stating that it was okay for the insurance company to pay the mortuary directly. 2 weeks after the funeral, Rose's brother Curtis gave her a call and wanted to come talk with her in person. Rose agreed, then set a time for him to come the next day. Rose did not feel right after hanging up the phone. She called Curtis back and demanded to know why he wanted to talk with her in person. Curtis claims he just found another life insurance policy for their mother, and that she was the beneficiary. He proceeded to say that he drew up a contract for her to sign. "What type of contract?" Rose asked. "It's a contract stating you agreed to split the money from the life insurance with me and Junior." Rose declined to split the money and stated that she would use the money to put a headstone on their mother's burial site. Then she would split the remaining money among their mother's grandkids. Curtis did not agree and therefore refused to give Rose the life insurance policy or any information about the insurance policy. He did not want to provide her with the insurance company name or the policy number. Rose contacted a lawyer who stated that Rose would have to take her brother to family court, but it would be her word against his because she has no way of proving another policy exists without the insurance company name or the policy number. Also, she has no way of proving her brother has in hand another policy. Rose and her brother Curtis' relationship has been tarnished beyond repair. Click the thumbs up and the subscribe button to receive notifications of more articles from the Book of Life. Be blessed and safe. Peace.